Welcome to Rebel Speak and Be Encouraged. Today we're looking at just a part of Psalm 25 written by King David, and it says this: "Do not remember the sins of my youth and my rebellious ways. According to your love, remember me, for you, Lord, are good." Okay, I want us to hear that so well. Whenever you meet this video, I want you to hear these words. God does not remember the sins of your youth, nor our rebellious ways. Okay, we can have very rebellious ways, and we can be very naive in our youth, and we can come to conclusions. I was just talking with someone I love very much about conclusions they came to at a very young age that affected them because they came to faulty conclusions, and those faulty conclusions of their youth were naming them in their adulthood. Wow, right? Where there's something that we've thought about ourselves, or a commitment we made with that kind of I remember when I was studying long ago and reading about how children often come to these conclusions where they don't have the whole story. They just know in part, and their little minds are trying so hard to put it together, and they come to faulty conclusions, okay? So it says, do not remember the sins of my youth, where the conclusions I've come to and my rebellious ways, and of course that's just good old rebellious ways. But I just feel to say that rebellion can have a lot of different shapes and forms. We all can think of that kind of overt rebellion, but we can harden our heart at a young age. We can come to bad conclusions about our parents, about our siblings, about the world. We can be seeing kind of that forever half-empty glass, or maybe we can even see the glass super full in a way that's not helping us. We're not getting to know ourselves well. Like, there can be all these things that are not helping us. They're not working. They're not the best conclusion. And I want to say, so do not remember the sins of my youth and my rebellious ways. The ways that I'm looking at life that are out of it's not in right alignment. It's not in right alignment. Here, instead, according to your love, remember me, for you, Yahweh, are good. That's just an amazing sentence. According to your love. You, God, be the standard of how I know myself. You, God, be the standard of how you look at me. Sometimes we have to remind ourselves of God's goodness because we're wired. There's this I felt the word fatal, like there's a fatal way that we can think about the world with fatality, right? Fatal fatality, where we can think about life in the world in ways, even have the thought gross negligence, where gross means large, and just it's not, when you neglect negligence, it's not accurate. We can look at things in a way that's not right, not truthful. And there's something about aligning our looking at life in the world in accordance with your love. Lord, I want to read it right. According to your love, remember me, for you, Lord, are good. There's something that God is wanting to bring our life into accordance with all of God's goodness in every area. In accordance with all of God's goodness in every area. Places where we're short-sighted, we're not seeing the long game, we're not seeing the goodness, we're not seeing the picture well, we're not seeing ourselves well. Our own view of ourselves is not in alignment with God's goodness. The way that God views us in accordance with His love. According to your love, remember me, for you, Lord, are good. And I want to encourage you in your journey right now of longings in your heart, things that you are longing for, things you're determined for, things that have felt lost and they want to be found. Parts of you that have been lost for a long time and they're trying to get found, okay? And just to pray this as a prayer. Do not remember the sins of my youth and my rebellious way. I'm not talking, yes, there can be overt rebellious ways, but there also can be problems with our finitude where we're not getting it quite right. And we're saying, no, God, according to your love, remember me. According to your love, for you, Lord, are good. I want to know myself through the lens of your goodness. I don't want some fatal viewing of myself that shuts me up, holds me tight inside of myself, where I don't know reality through the lens of how you see reality. I don't see it right. I don't see circumstances and situations I don't see myself. I don't see others. I don't see life according to your love. According to your love, for you, Lord, are good. And I just want to speak that like a prayer. Like, God, we want our life aligned through the lens of your redemption and salvation. We don't want our lives aligned through the lens of all that's wrong and incomplete. Good and upright is the Lord, therefore he instructs sinners in his ways. God, I want to be instructed. That sinner, right? One that's, you can just, I'm off. Only God is perfectly aligned with reality and truth. God, I want to be in alignment with that perfect alignment of you, in whom there is no smidge off, massive off, or smidge off. I want to be in alignment with all that's good and true and right in you, God. Good and upright is the Lord, therefore he instructs sinners in his ways. I want to be instructed, God, and invite that instruction in God's ways into your life. He guides the humble in what is right and teaches them his way. He teaches us. God, I want to know more about you. I want to know more about your faithfulness. I want to know more what you're thinking. God, I want to know, what are your thoughts? What are your plans? What are your plans for my life? I don't want to be at odds. I want to be courageously involved in this world that you, God, all these years have been so courageously involved in. I want to be a part of that vision. God guides the humble in what is right and teaches them his way. All the ways of the Lord are loving and faithful. All his ways. That's not me putting, like, I don't know, sometimes you see this stamped loving. It didn't feel loving. No. All the ways of the Lord. Just speak this. All the ways of the Lord are loving and faithful. All the ways of the Lord are loving and faithful towards those who keep the demands of his covenant. Guess who's done that for us? Jesus Christ. You and I are not lost in the wilderness of our shame. We're not lost in the wilderness of our incompleteness. We're not lost in the wilderness of our sorrow. We're not lost in the wilderness of our loneliness. We're not lost in the wilderness of incompleteness. We're not lost in the wilderness of hopelessness, no way forward, no way out, no way beyond, no way around. Christ has purchased a way forward. Christ has purchased a way out. Christ has purchased a way around, such that all the ways of the Lord are loving and faithful towards those he loves, towards those who keep the demands of his covenant. You and I, in Jesus Christ, keep the demands of his covenant. Keep the demands of his covenant. That's what the work of Christ has done for us. I don't want to be shallow or superficial. I want to say to you that whatever circumstances are lurking around kind of the periphery of your heart and mind, your thinking, you just, whatever's shaming you, whatever's making you feel insecure, whatever's mocking you, or just speaking a truth other than the goodness of these few verses here in Psalm 25. Like, this is what is written upon your life. This is what written upon your heart. This is the shalom. This is the peace. This is the good news of the cross, that we are found complete within the covenant, such that we can say, he guides the humble. It's got to be the humble because we have to receive. He guides the humble in what is right and teaches them his way. Wow. We get to know the way. We get to know the way of salvation. And I don't mean like little, like heaven and hell. That's not little, I know that. But we get to know the way of salvation, the way forward for the world that we are in, for the hearts that we love, for the persons that our hearts are wanting much more for our own areas where we're entrapped and entangled and can't find a way forward. He teaches us the way forward. All the ways, just going to say this again in closing, all the ways of the Lord are loving and faithful towards those, towards us in Christ. All the ways are loving and faithful. There's not a faithless way out there. You're not going to stumble. You're not going to fall. You're going to be found. You're going to be found in mercy and love. You're going to You're going to. And I want to say this. Resist the devil. Resist him. He's a liar. He would love to get you tangled up. He'd love to get you tangled up and call that mercy. He'd love to get you tangled up in some lost little labyrinth, tangled up in your mind, cluttered in loneliness and sorrow, and say that that's kindness. But it's not. And you need to speak these words that all his ways are loving. All his ways are faithful. And with these words, I resist the devil's lies about who I am. I resist entrapment about not getting to the places I want to get to. I encourage you to resist any lies, any discouragement. Like you can think, oh, it's not that big of a discouragement. No, it's not truth. It's not truth. And there's something about the enemy tangling. There's that great lyric, Tangled Up in Blues, great song, really, at many levels. We need a map and a key. We need a map and a key to the door. Oh, guess what? We have one. We have a map and a key to the door. We have a map and a key to salvation. It's not only been given to us, we're created in the image of the one in whom is all goodness, always a way forward. Don't be nostalgic for the past. Don't be nostalgic for the broken. Be hungry for the good. Seek and be hungry for that which is good and right. The person and character of God. And he's going to get you. He's going to get you to the very land, the land that you deepest yearn for. Woo. Don't underestimate the beauty of God. Don't think God's some fragile goody two-shoes. Don't resist God. Don't try to paint God according to your needs and desires that are actually born by the limitations of your youth. Invite the fullness of God. Say, God, I want to know your depths. I want to know you, God, in the fullness of my well-being. God has health for you, and it's sound. It's complete. It's accurate and in full accordance with how God made you. The yearning that God put in you for God, that's from God. God has a way forward through. I just see that labyrinth. There's been a little bit of a labyrinth of lies where you're kind of stuck and you kind of made peace with it, but ultimately it's not getting you where you want to go. Invite that better storyline in. All right, God bless you.